back in February 22nd, I did a fundraiser with Operation Tears of the 22 guys where we were walking 22 miles with 22 pounds on our back. It was a ruck march. And as I walked through that, I found that there were a lot of correlations to life in this particular ruck march. And actually, I think in a lot of times when you do go out and you start doing hard things, you find that there's a lot of similarities to life in that. And we're going to be talking about that this week on episode 122 of The Relaxed Male. Hello and welcome to Relaxed Male, a podcast that helps men change their relationship with themselves. I am your host, Brian, and I am a men's life and mindset coach who is here to help you understand that you don't have to suffer at your own expense. You can live your dream, and I encourage you to set, then pursue your goals. So join me as I change the mindset and attitudes of men so that they can be the leaders of their families and their destinies. Hey man, hello and welcome to Relaxed Male. I am your host, Brian, and I am a men's life coach that helps men who are struggling with particular parts of their lives. A lot of men are going through divorce. A lot of men are going through trying to figure out how to get work-life balance, things like that. And I help them to see that embracing their masculinity actually helps them to become a better man for the rest of their community, whether that is just their family or their work environment or their whole town. And so this week I wanted to talk about a ruck march that I did back in February. I am just now finally getting around to getting this podcast episode up and out because I wanted to cover the model the previous 6 weeks that I was doing, a month and a half. So we're finally back to talking about what this ruck march was, what it was meant, what impact it had on me, and some lessons that I learned from that. But before we jump in, I want to say thank you to anybody who is brand new to the show. If you've come in, I've had several guys who have recently apparently decided they heard something, really liked it, and just went back and listened to my entire back catalog. I've had a couple of days where my downloads were through the roof, way higher than everything else, and it's quite amazing. And I am so grateful for those of you who have started listening and going through listening to the episodes that were done in the past and re-listening and hearing and gathering all that particular information and understanding why the 4 pillars to a relaxed male are incredibly important to men themselves. But with that said, if you find any of those particular episodes or anything in this episode, I'll ask again at the end, but share this out. Share this with your friends, your family, with Facebook groups, with your Facebook followers, your Facebook friends, your Twitter followers, Instagram, trust.social or truth.social, any of the other social media sites that you're out there, that you have going on. If you got them out there, go ahead and share those out, and let's really get this episode or this podcast to grow, and let's get it to this movement really start rolling, so we can start really touching the lives and hearts and minds of men, so that they can start stepping up and being what our society truly needs: our true masculine men who have no problem with somebody come along saying that they're being toxic, and they can just look at them and go, all right, if you think so, and live their life on their particular terms. And that's what I really like having men do, is live the life on their terms, not on the terms of what their mothers wanted them to be, not on the terms of what their father wanted, not on the terms of what society themselves thinks that a guy should do, because a man's not living to his fullest potential unless he is living his life on his terms, going after his dreams, his aspirations. And a lot of that is reflected in this ruck march that I did over at Fort Chaffee in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and didn't have a clue as to what I was literally walking into with this, because I'd not ever done a ruck march before. Yeah, I've walked with a backpack and a little bit of weight in there, but it's only been like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 miles at the most. This was 13.6 miles total. Is 20. That's equals out to being 22 kilometers. And Matt Gillespie, the founder of Operation Tears of the 22, really wanted to hammer the 22 men and women who have been in service, who kill themselves every single day. And that's a number that's way too high. And this is a cause and that Matt finds incredibly compelling. And he's wanting to see if he can how far down can he drive this number? Can he get it all the way down to 0? I don't know. I'm cheering him on as he tries this what I would almost call an impossible goal. So what happened that day? Well, started out about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was kind of cold, not freezing, but it was a brisk day. It was cloudy, threatening rain, things like that. And so got out to Chaffee Crossing, met up with Rich and Matt and the other walkers or hikers or trekkers or ruckers or whatever you wanted to call them. Kind of mingled around, got a little coffee in us and all that, and then turned around. It's like, all right, well, let's get everything started. So we got everybody up to the quote unquote starting line, and with a police escort, took off, and we had 3 people who were in a lot better shape than what I am, and a lot better shape than what Matt, Rich, or even the 9th person, which was Matt's granddaughter, Breezy. They were a lot better shape than us, and so they were kind of in the lead, and they took off and were following right behind the police car, pacing it quite well. I started out walking with Matt and Rich, and we walked along. But as I walked, I was able to pace out ahead of them, and so I got a little further ahead of Rich, but still wasn't walking as fast as the other guys. So the other guys walked out further, and what we did is we went down and made 3 laps. And so if you look at about 4.5 miles, so each lap is 4.5555555 kilometers or miles. And so as we walked and we made our first turn, you could see that Matt and Rich were a little ways away, but they weren't too terribly far. And the other folks were getting a lot further. They were probably about 3/4 of a mile ahead of me. And as we made our first complete lap, and got our feel of everything, we actually went down one area, and the other team, or the front 3 guys, had gotten so far ahead that I couldn't see where they turned. And so I actually turned ahead one spot or one block too far or too soon. And so as I was walking and I almost made it down to them, there I saw the police car and the other guys walk past. And so I kind of caught up with them. I ended up cutting about a half a mile off that first trip and commenced to going again. So we made another lap. The police had done their thing, and it was really cool because as we started off, they even had an engineer from BNSF actually take one of their engines and pull it across the road to kind of block everybody as everybody walked past. Now, we didn't have a huge turnout. That's okay. We didn't need to have a monstrous turnout, and it was because it was on a Tuesday. It's kind of a weird time, and didn't think we'd get a whole lot of people to show up on that day. But the fact that it was 2022, that was the set of numbers that Matt really wanted to reach for. And so that's why we did it on that day. I think he's actually looking at moving it to another day on a later date for next year. I think he's actually moving it to March or maybe even April. He's still looking at those ideas, but right now, because he's getting ready for the next big event, which is in August. So made the first lap, and that second lap, I was essentially by myself the whole time. Just made the turns, and got all the way down and made the third lap. Now, my energy level on the second one was, okay, I'm wearing down a little bit. Not too bad, but I'm wearing down a little bit. And I made the turn for the second lap and commenced to walking, starting my third and final lap. And this is where things started getting really hard, really difficult, because I was starting to run out of initial steam and still had, 4.5 miles to trek. As I walked, my legs were starting to get heavier. My knees were starting to ache. My calves were just screaming the whole time. And the temperature was dropping. It was getting colder as we continued to walk. So every time we made a lap, it was a little bit colder. And so eventually glad I had a coat on, but eventually I put on my heavy gloves, and with the heavy gloves, I really couldn't hold my walking stick. So on the second lap, I actually ditched my walking stick because I couldn't hold on to it and everything else. And it was just kind of a hassle to do. And I think I really would have done better if I continued holding onto my walking stick, but I didn't. I set it off off by the car as I continued my walk around. But as you walk, and especially if you're by yourself, there's a lot of things that you start thinking of, and a lot of thoughts come creeping through your head. And there's a lot of thoughts of, hey, just ditch your backpack, shed some of the weights, do all these other things, make your life a little easier, get back into something that's a little more comfortable. You have all these thoughts, and they were fascinating to actually sit back and look at. And you take apart and look at each one of those images, or each one of those thoughts and images that your mind generates as a means to help you get past whatever the hard parts are. But I ended up coming up with a kind of a list of things that correlate with life. And that's kind of what I wanted to really go over now, because there's a lot of lessons that equate your life as being on a ruck march. You can take your life, and, we can always take our life and stuff it into other things and have it equal out. But for me, that ruck march really showed some key points in life. The first one being that we always go in unprepared. Now, I could have prepared, and I didn't, and it'll be a lot easier the next time, because no matter what you're doing in life, whether it's learning to drive, learning to ride a bike, learning to walk, learning how to start up your own business, how to start anything, you're going to step into it unprepared, because you don't know what you don't know. And that's the same way with this ruck march. I'd not ever rucked before in my life. Like I said, I've done it a couple times, but not with 22 pounds. That's a lot. And I say that's a lot. There was one guy who actually had a ruck pack on, professional, and it's just a metal plate that he carries in the center of his back. And the thing had 30 pounds on it. So, you can walk a lot more, but that little ruck pack is really low in profile. So there's not as much, you're not getting as much swing, and you're not getting as much of a full body workout as you are with like having a ruck sack, like what I had on. And I was walking with a 50-liter rucksack, and I had, it all together. It weighed, 23 kilometers or 23 pounds. We're going to go into our life, whatever adventure, whatever endeavor, whatever it is that we want to do. We're going to initially go into it unprepared. And as we go, we're actually going to develop the skills that we need to be able to continue doing that. So you're going to go in unprepared, but that's okay, because you're not supposed to know everything right off the bat. If you did, everybody would be wildly successful, and success wouldn't mean anything to us anyhow, because if everybody's successful, then okay, it's an expected deal. Yet if you're going through doing the hard work, and you're taking the skills that you learn from life to perform whatever, action you're wanting to perform, you're going to become better at it. You're going to become more skilled just simply by having exposure to whatever that is, starting a business, or starting a family, or doing a ruck march. We always go in unprepared, but we develop the skills that we need. Yet our mind wants to tell us and try to keep us comfortable by going, hey, dude, you have not ever done this. We look in the past so many times. We keep our eyes on the rear view mirror instead of on the windshield. We're always looking behind us. We want to live in a past life of, well, we've never done this before. This is going to be bad. This is going to be horrible. I don't think you're going to be able to do this because you've not ever done this. You don't know what you're doing. And our mind will try to scream at us and tell us and convince us to not do whatever it is that we're wanting to do. And we may know deep down inside our soul that this is something we need to do for ourselves, but our mind will fight with us to make sure that we don't do it. It's like me in coaching. I know deep down this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I am so fired up to help coach guys and to help guys get out of the thoughts of being stuck, that even sitting down and imagining that I'm not going to be a coach anymore, I'm going to be a truck driver for the rest of my life, just fills me with so much dread and depression that it's horrible. There's so much pain in me not reaching that level of what I want to do. So our mind's going to screw with us and tell us that we're not prepared for it. And it's right. We're not prepared, but we will become prepared the moment we start doing it. Be prepared to be unprepared is a good way to put that. So the next is you really can't control the weight of your pack. Yeah, we can add stuff. We can control. I misread my notes. You can control the weight of your pack. The weight is all the stuff that we think we need. All right. That is, we've got to have this in our life and this in our life. And we've got to make sure that we have a good paying job, and we got to have this and we got to have that. And we got all this other stuff. And so we keep adding weight to our pack. Well, the heavier the pack, the more work you're going to have to do. And a lot of us guys, yeah, we take pride in our work, but is that pride in the fact that we are just being busy, or is that pride in the fact that we are actually being productive? You can control that weight of your pack. You can actually stop and take stuff out that you really don't need. It's like, all right, do I really need this 10-pound barbell to equal 22 pounds? No, I can actually put some 10 pounds worth of books in here, and I can actually learn some stuff. Or maybe, do I really need to have the weight of my mother's judgment weighing down on me? Or can I actually take that out and allow her to actually have whatever judgment she wants and know that that judgment isn't on me at all? The weight of the pack that you carry is completely dependent upon what you want to take on. I did a podcast several months ago called Your Basket of Beliefs. It's episode number 86, and links to that will actually be in the show notes. That basket of beliefs is a lot of what I'm talking about. That different amount of weight. Do you believe you are able to become successful, or do you believe that this is your lot in life? It's not a lot, but it's your life. You've got all these different assumptions and beliefs, and you can actually look at each one of those beliefs that you have in that particular basket, or in the analogy that I'm using right now, in your rucksack. You can look at those and go, you know what? This belief that I am not a reader isn't serving me. I'm going to set that belief down, and I'm going to pick up the belief that I am a reader. Because what is a belief? A belief is nothing more than a thought that you repeat to yourself. It is a thought that we perceive to be true. So that tells you can change whatever your thought is. You can change a belief. People do all the time. You have Catholics that become Protestants. You have Christians that become Jewish. You have Jewish people who may convert to Buddhism. We have all these different. We have people who are Baptist becoming Pentecostal, or Pentecostal becoming, Presbyterian, or Presbyterian becoming Lutheran. We all change our beliefs because they're just the thoughts that we have. It's a sentence that we repeat in our head over and over and over again. And that's what causes us to want to believe what it is that we believe. It's not necessarily a truth. It's a truth. It's not necessarily a fact. We perceive that thought to be true. The next thing I realized is that it seems easy at first. You're walking. Yeah, you got your rucksack put on. It's nice and snug. It's sitting right next to your back. Your shoes are on good and tight. You've got good socks on, and you walk. Well, it's going to start off easy, especially if you're just woke up and you're fresh for the day. You're going to have a lot more energy that you can dedicate to the walk. As a young man in life, if you are listening and you are either in high school or just out of high school, things are going to seem easy. There are going to be hills, and those hills might be gentle and easy to go up. And you're like, oh, heck yeah, I got this down. But at the same time, there may be some steep hills, and these steep hills may cause you to really kind of struggle. And you may think, I can't do this. It's going to seem easy at first. And as your energy progresses to be used up, you're going to find that, that first hill that you went up, that was pretty easy. The next time is, oh, wow, you really notice this hill now. And that third line, you can almost look at your laps as being your youth, middle age, and elderly. And so, that when you're in your youth, that hill that you run across can be fairly unnoticeable. That's those bad habits that you have in your life, whether it's you're drinking and partying until 5 a.m, going to bed, getting an hour's worth of sleep, getting up and going to work. When you're young in your 20s, you can do that every day of the week. But eventually, you hit your middle part of your life, get about 30, all of a sudden you go drink until 10 o'clock, and you may not even get really toasted. You go to bed and wake up, and all of a sudden you're like, oh God, what's that pain in my head? Why did I have a hangover? I didn't really drink that much. That's those weird, you're getting older. That's that second lap. And the third lap, it gets even rougher, where that little gentle hill that you had is kind of a struggle. And those habits that you have, those hills, really can become very seriously compounded and really affect your performance. So it's going to seem easy at first, and that's because you've got all that energy in the world. That third lap is really going to come along, and it's going to grab you in the boo-boo, and you're going to really wonder why you chose to climb this particular hill. You're also somewhere along the way going to hit a wall, and this is going to be an obstacle that you just have to power through. For me, that wall was that third lap. I made it down to the end where we made our first right-hand turn on that lap. And it was all of a sudden, my legs were like, all right, let's stop. Let's take a break. Let's breathe for a second. And I was kind of trudging along. And about that time, as I was trudging along, is when, and I'm going to talk about Bob here in a bit, but Bob came along, and I was the last one on the course. I was the last one to finish that day. Everybody else, the three in the front, I think they completed it in like 3 hours or something like that. I completed mine in a little over 5. It's like 5.5 maybe. Bob stayed there with me, and he every so often he was, hey, you all right? Need something? Need some water? And yeah, I'd grab a water, drink some water, and kind of just keep trudging along. And I wasn't taking big long strides. I even tried to say, let's see what happens if I stretch out. And I was like, oh yeah, that's not going to work at all. My legs were like going, dude, we're not stretching. We're cold. Things are tightened up. You can stop any day now, and we'd be quite happy. But I couldn't. I still had, 4.5 miles to go. You're going to hit that wall. What do you do when you hit that wall? That is completely up to you. You can give up, shed the weight, shed everything else, give up, and check out. And that is the reason why I didn't do it when I hit that wall, was because what this walk actually was representing. It was called the weight of my brother. Ruck march, and that weight that I had on my back was to represent the 22 men and women in service who kill themselves and I couldn't let them down. I wanted to make sure they were represented, that I was there to help carry them, and I could check out, and I could, anytime along the way, life is going to become super, super sucky, and you can choose what you want to do. You can do a permanent fix to a temporary problem, or you can just power through there, because believe it or not, that little crappy, sucky period in your life isn't permanent. You're going to work your way through there. And sure enough, it's going to be a lot better on the other side. I tell you, the seat of my Mazda felt like it was designed strictly for me when I first sat in there. It was just one of the most incredible feelings. I wouldn't have been able to experience that if I hadn't have gone on that ruck march, because my body I'd subjected my body to something that it was not used to. But I wanted to show myself above anything that I can do hard things. And that kind of became my mantra. And I still hold on to that mantra. You can do hard things. You, yourself, you, the listener, you can do hard things. I can do hard things. We all can do hard things. You just have to be willing to do that hard thing. So when you hit that wall, like I said, it's really going to suck. And that obstacle, whatever it is in your life, may seem like it's insurmountable. But when you get beyond it, you're going to realize, holy crow, I have some skills that I have developed just because of that. I now know I can walk 22 kilometers. I'm really not going to like life the next morning, but at that moment, I can walk 22 kilometers. And that lets me know I really need to start doing this type of stuff, because I've got a couple more years to go before I want to walk. Hopefully they will finally open everything up completely in Spain, because I do want to walk the Camino de Santiago, and I am not going to walk that damn thing with a freaking mask on my face. I don't care to have them walk around going, well, do you have your shot records? I'm not going to carry my damn shot records. I'm not going to do some close contact app that, tracks me on who I've touched or been within 6 feet of the whole time I'm there. It's not important. And so if I am in good enough shape to be able to walk the Camino, I'm good enough shape to not have to worry about, bureaucratic crap. But to be able to do that, I know now that I can do hard things. Now however much weight I end up putting in my rucksack to go. And I'm going to be trying to make sure I get that thing as light as possible now, but I want to be able to, go and start in Lourdes, France, and walk all the way to Camino de Santiago. And I know right there at the beginning, right when you first start, I have a big wall of rock that I have to cross. There's the Alps, or the Pyrenees Mountains, I believe is what they are, that you have to walk over to be able to get into Spain. And from Spain and from there, no matter, I don't know what else, other obstacles. I know there's a lot of beautiful, incredible sights that you get to see, but to do that, you have to be able to get those rewards. You have to do those hard things. Another thing that I noticed is, especially in the third lap, you are going to welcome church and friends. You're going to really want them. You're going to really want the camaraderie of having some close friends in your life. The church, believe it or not, yes, that is a good thing. There was a church that was on our route, and as you walked around, you could actually go inside to kind of rest your back, rest your legs a little bit. I didn't take my pack off, but I did go inside, get some coffee, which was a nice warm relief to receive. And so as I was enjoying the coffee and stuff, I sat and talked with Bob for a little bit, and it was just good to have Bob there. Bob is just one of those guys who's just, he's a vet, and he is out to help other vets. He is just He's all about it now. And you're going to welcome that church, the soothing relationship that you have with your religion. Now, when I say church, I'm not meaning just Christian church. It might be that you go to temple, or to a synagogue, or to an ashram, or whatever it is that you end up going to. That church has a lot of great qualities to it. And you're young right now, even if you're middle-aged, you're like, well, I don't like churches, blah, blah, blah. Those are all beliefs that you have about the church. It doesn't mean that it is what the church is about. If you step back and you actually look at what the church is about and understand the church is essentially nothing more than a hospital for the sinners. It's not a museum for the saints. It's a hospital for sinners. And you can even see those hoity-toity, uppity people who are just looking down their nose at the fact that you are not as grand and wonderful as they are. You can actually look at them and go, God bless you for trying so hard to cover your sins. Because that's what they are, especially when they are hypocritical. And you know that, Sister Betty better than you has had a very sordid background. If you were in a church, you start knowing who people are and what they're about, and you get to learn the histories of them. And yeah, you're going to hear that, okay, she's, someone who looks down upon you had a hard life at one time. And the fact that they are overdoing whatever action that they're doing just screams at the fact that they are trying to hide the sins that church is meant for. And so you can actually look at the fact that they are being hypocritical, at the fact that they are being, deceitful, as just a human trying to be a human, trying to human their way through their life the best that they can. And if you have that type of mindset about it, you can go to church and just enjoy everybody. Let them be as grumpy as they want to be. And you're just like, all right, dude. Yeah. God bless you. Have a good time. Church is great, but also those friends that you have, they're the ones that help encourage you to keep you stepping, putting one foot in front of the other, step after step after step. Those friends are incredibly important. That's one reason why the fourth pillar is in the relaxed male. We have to have that community. We have to have that band of brothers who are there to help us become the better men, because doing it by ourselves is lonely and it sucks. And we give ourselves an easy out when we're by ourselves. But if we have guys who are looking over our shoulder and we're trying to make sure that we become as great as we see them as being, we're going to step it up. We're going to work harder. We're going to do things that allow us to have a better life, all because we have our friends with us. Those men, those noble masculine men are there cheering us on, just as Bob was. And we all need a Bob in our life. Bob was an amazing guy. Yeah, there's a couple times, especially on the back end of the lap, where it got a little tedious, at least to me, and that's because I was getting tired. But Bob would drive past me and go about, I don't know, maybe an eighth of a mile ahead of me, and I'd trudge up, and he'd go, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yep." I'd give him a thumbs up. "Need a drink of water?" "No, sir." And I'd keep walking. And I'd get about an eighth of a mile ahead of him. And then here he'd come, Bob again, and he'd get about an eighth of a mile ahead of me. And as I came up to him, "You doing all right?" "Yep." And at the moment, while I'm in that area of, I'm just trying to get to the end of this last lap, I'm thinking this all through, going, I got to get through this. And Bob keeps asking me, "Am I doing all right?" Well, thank God Bob was checking to make sure that I was doing all right, because it made me have to think, am I doing all right? I had to do a check-in with myself to go, am I doing okay? Am I doing all right? Am I doing what needs to be done? Yes, I am. "Hey, you need a drink?" "No, I'm not thirsty." "Yeah, I'm thirsty. I wouldn't have thought of that unless you had mentioned something." "Here, got a bottle of water." "All right." That was actually some of the best, coldest ass water you ever come across, but it tasted good every time I grabbed a bottle of water. it was good to have Bob go through that part with me. Was he in a pickup? Yeah, he was in a pickup. Nothing wrong with that. But he was with me nonetheless. And so thank God I had a Bob with me, because we all need a Bob in our life. We all have that. Bob could almost be seen as that best friend, that confidant in your life. And that confidant may not be the same one you had in high school as you have when you're 85 years old. You're going to need and have and should have a confidant in your life. And I understand I'm shooting on you on this, but that's okay. But when you get done, all the tasks that you have, that finish is so sweet. Reason why we have a 50-50 life is because those sucky times allow us to experience the wonderful times. If we deny ourselves the opportunity to have that sucky time, we're not going to appreciate the glorious times near as much. We have to allow for the suckies to show up with the wonderfuls. And as long as we keep our life in a 50-50, accept the fact that we are just struggling, that we're just trying to get one step ahead of each other. If we can accept that and just be with that at the moment, when we get past it, we have a greater sense of joy, success, love, whatever it is that you're questing for. If you will allow yourself to have that little bit of, you will have a whole lot of, yeah, all right. So guys, if you are needing help getting coached through your own ruck of your life, you can do so. I can help you out. I've got coaching services that we can set up. I like to do a 1 year coaching session, or not session, but 1 year coaching term. But I also have them as small as 3 months, where we can meet and talk to each other for 3 full months and start getting those mindsets changed. I just got finished working with a guy who finished his 6-month stint, and the changes that I saw that he made were absolutely incredible. And he's supposed to be putting up a testimony for me and a review, so that y'all can actually see what he has to say about it. If you are not interested, or maybe not interested in doing one-on-one coaching, you really want to make sure that you have your community pillar good and strong. I have the Brotherhood of Men. This is a men's group that allows men to spend an hour to an hour and a half with each other once a week. We meet each week and we live intentionally with each other. Well, not live with each other, but we spend intentional time with each other, and become better men because of it. If you're interested in that, you can also go to relaxedmale.com and see the Brotherhood of Men, or you can go to relaxedmale.com/brotherhood and be able to go there. If you're interested in the coaching services, relaxedmale.com/coaching will take you over to my coaching page. So with all that I said, if you found anything that is a benefit, caused you to think, caused you to laugh, caused you to think of somebody else, share this out with them. Share that out with your friends that you have. Share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the other social media networks that are out there. If you would like, also, you can submit a review. I'll read those reviews out on the air if you happen to put one up. So if you'd like to hear your name, do so. You can also shoot me an email over at brian@relaxedmail.com, or go to relaxedmail.com/contact and ask a question there. And if you want me to answer it on the air, I'll do that too. And if you leave your website, I'll actually even link to your website, so you get a little bit of extra Google juice going on, which is always a great thing. So guys, with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you go. Thanks a lot for listening. Y'all have a great and wonderful life, and we'll see you next week. And remember that you too can do hard things.